This lesson's all about circle graphs, which are also pie charts. This is lesson 17C. It's also the last lesson for Unit 2 before we move on to algebra. There's links in the description for 17A and B and any other videos that'll help you with this topic. A circle graph is a visual presentation of data showing parts of a whole, the circle, using percents, decimals, or fractions. The entire circle represents 100%. And the size of each section represents a fraction of the whole. Half the circle represents half, or 50%. 1/4 of the circle represents 1/4, or 25%. And some circle graphs use colors and a key to tell you what the colors stand for. And some are labeled directly on each section. So like on this circle graph, you can look and see that this is 35% right here, this area. This area is 20%. And actually, the degrees of the circle, which we'll get into in geometry, match that percentage. And we'll talk about that in the future. So here we've got some cake orders, and we can see that 50%, half of them were chocolate. There's 240 cake orders. How many orders were there for yellow cake? So it's not asking for a percentage, it's asking how many were yellow out of 240. We do 240 times 0.25. We change that to a decimal. And we get 60. So you remember how to change a percentage to a decimal? We just put a decimal point here and we remove the percentage sign. It goes 2 hops over. So we have 60 yellow cake orders out of 240. So how many orders were there for white cake? Well, white is 10%, so we're going to multiply the 240 times 0.10 or 0.1. We don't need that 0 behind there, do we? So either way, it's going to come out as 24. So just remember you convert the percentage to a decimal, and you multiply the total number by the decimal number, okay? Let's do some more. Now we've got cookie sales are $580. We can see all the different types of cookies. What was the dollar amount in sales of strawberry and fudge cookies? So we know the total dollar amount was $580. Strawberry is 15%, fudge is 25%. We can add these two together to get 40%. Change it to a decimal, 0.4, 0.40, either way it's the same. We multiply the total 580 sales by 0.4 and we get 232. So we know the total sales were $232 for those two flavors. See? We can even find them separately. We could do the 580 total sales times 0.15 for that 15%. We get $87. And we do 580 times 0.25 for the fudge and get 145, and we can add them together to get 232. Either way, we get the same amount. Personally, I think it's easier to add the percentages together and just multiply one time. What percentage of sales are raisin and fudge combined? Well, we've got 10% and 25%. Raisin is 10%. Fudge is 25%. We just add the percentages and we get 35%. We could even subtract them if we needed to. If it said how many more chocolate chip cookies percentage-wise were sold than fudge, we just do the 30 minus the 25 and we find out that that's 5% more. See? Emma bought 200 flower bulbs. How many were daffodil? Now it's not asking for percentage, is it? It's asking how many. So we need to know how many bulbs. If there were 200 total and daffodil represents 35%, we turn it into a decimal, 0.35. We multiply the 200 by 0.35. And we know that out of the 200 flower bulbs, 70 of them were daffodils. How many of them were lily? We look and see lily is 15%, so we multiply the 200 times 0.15 as a decimal. And we know that 30 were lily. This one says what percentage were not daffodil? Well, this whole thing represents 100%. We could just take away the 35% and get 65% were not daffodil. Or if we wanted to, we could add all of these percentages up to see that it's 65%. But personally, because this is 100%, I think it's easier to just take away the 35%, see, to find out the remaining. Because there's 3 15s, see, and a 20, we could also do 3 times 15% plus 20% would be 65%. Okay? So when a circle graph uses percentages, the entire circle represents 100% of something. And 100% means one whole, doesn't it? If you have 100% of a candy bar, you have the whole candy bar. When a circle graph uses fractions, the entire circle represents one whole thing. So if you have a candy bar, a whole candy bar, and you give 1/4 of it away, you've got 3/4 left. See? Represents one whole thing. So now you should be ready to do the skill focus on page 197. And whenever you're taking these tests in the book, try to get less than 25% wrong. That means you want to get a 75% score or better, all right? This would be 1 out of 4 wrong, okay, because 25% is 1/4. You can take the mini test for lessons 16 and 17 on pages 198 through 201. If you're doing okay with the skill focus, just move on to the mini test. And if you're still doing okay, try doing the Unit 2 cumulative review on pages 202 through 206 and try to get past with at least 75%. These are little tests that will help you see how you're going to do on the actual GED. So you want to take them to see how you would do, just as a kind of a, testing ground to see what it would be like to take the real GED test. You want to see how you do, okay? So we're getting close to algebra here. We've gotten to the point where we're going to start lesson 18, and that's this pink line, and all of these lessons have been covered. So now we're going to be above here, and it's all going to be 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. See? Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. So you have to make sure you understand the stuff that we've already covered, all right? If you do these skill focus and you have a little problem, well, go through these old lessons to figure out where you had a problem, okay? So just retreat, regroup, and attack again, all right? So our next lesson, we're moving to Unit 3. It's Lesson 18. And we're going to be understanding integers. It's 18A. That's negative and positive numbers. There's going to be a link to the Grade 6 Math 7.2 video that talks about circle graphs and pie charts, and there'll be links to 17A and 17B, which were part of this graph lesson, okay? So now is the time to make sure you understand what you're doing before you move on, because now we're going to be moving to algebra, all right? So we're really getting through this. We're moving along, and I'm really proud of you. So let's keep going, let's keep trying, and I'll see you next video. Bye.